Okay, we're almost done with this book, The German Genius by Peter Watson. Okay, big monster book. We're doing landscape paintings today, and the first one here is by Albert Bierstadt. I actually think that this is the greatest landscape painting ever made. Albert Bierstadt was a German-American painter. He was second generation of Hudson River Valley School. That's the same school out in eastern United States where Thomas Cole and other great landscape artists worked in the 1800s. And I mean, this picture, it's just sublime. You get a sense of God, coming in with the sunlight into the Sierra Nevada Valley, like Yosemite. I mean, it's just beautiful. And the deer coming up to the lake's edge, the river's edge. It's just spectacular. So anyways, this is by Albert Bierstadt. I actually think this is the greatest landscape painting ever made, and I've seen a lot of them. It's just beautiful. I hope the lighting is right for you. You'll see it's just magnificent. Okay, and then I'm going to go back, like, where did this come from? They didn't start out being that great. A couple things. First of all, Germany was big on these stories by the Complete Fairy Tales of Brothers Grimm. And they collected the old fairy tales. And there's a lot of great ones here. Little Red Riding Hood, Cinderella, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Rapunzel, Sleeping Beauty, Hansel and Gretel, Rumpelstiltskin, Frog Prince, Tom Thumb, and there's other really good ones too. The Walt Disney movies used to be good, like in the 1930s, around then. Anything modern from Walt Disney stinks. It's in the garbage can. It's the equivalent of modern art. But this old stuff was magnificent. And I actually think children should read all these fairy tales when they're young, because you remember them. These are memorable stories that give you these, concentrated metaphors that are useful for the rest of your life. And, most of the stuff you learn in school you forget. Now, I'm just going to show you one scientist, Friedrich August Kekulé. He's a guy who discovered the structure of benzene, the aromatic ring, 6 carbon with 3 double bonds that resonate and move around. I'm not going to go into all the chemistry. The Germans are great at chemistry, great at physics, great at mathematics, but I just wrote a book about the history of science, so I'm a little bit tired of that subject, and it's a little bit boring for this audience. I'll present some of that when I'm doing hidden history books, okay? So I will get to it, but I'm not going to go into, there's a lot of history of science in this book, but I'm just not in the mood for it. Okay, let's get back to the paintings. Now here is in the Gosal Valley of Australia. This is a different artist. His name is Albert Stilfer. And this, painting is kind of beautiful. It reminds you, of course, of the movie The Sound of Music, with Julie Andrews, Edelweiss, Edelweiss. And it's just beautiful. Now, he doesn't have the sophisticated artistic technique of, Bierstadt. But it's still a beautiful painting. They got the cute mountain people costumes, okay? All right, now here is a painting by Carl Schinkel. Now, Carl Schinkel was an architect, and he was a magnificent architect. He did a lot of work in Berlin, and he was world famous for architecture, but he was also an artist. And like I said, there was a big neoclassical age in the 1700s, 1800s in Germany. And so here's his painting of the Greeks, building the magnificent buildings up on the Acropolis, It's spectacular. Now here is Carl Schinkel painting a medieval city. It's a big cathedral, there's a rainbow there, and there's all the knights in armor, all the chivalry, sort of a proud part of Christian history. And it's just beautiful. I actually think his next painting is even better. I love this one. Gothic Cathedral by a River. Being an architect, he just has all the details correct, and it's spectacular. Okay, here's one of his, a little different, Castle by the River, with this sort of interesting effect here. The people working here, planting the vineyards, the deer, the stag walking into the castle grounds. The sunset or sunrise, I think that's a sunrise, is beautiful. Okay, let's see what we got next here. Well, here's just one more cathedral painting by Carl Schinkel, Gothic Church on a Rock, again, always by a river. Gothic architecture is the most beautiful architecture ever made. Now here's another German-American artist, just like Bierstadt had been born in Germany, went to America, Emanuel Lutz as well. And here he is painting, GW crossing the Delaware. And it's a rather spectacular painting. It's heroic, and it's beautiful, and it's good. It's great. Here's another painting by Lutz. I like the way he paints heroic men. And this is how it was when I was growing up. It's only the last, about 30 years where, they try to portray every man on TV and in the mainstream media as, some type of, transsexual, gay, feminist, wants it up the butt. That's not how men have been through the history of the world, okay? When I was growing up, it was always Christopher Columbus discovers the New World, Napoleon conquers all Germany and all these other places. It was all these macho men, Julius Caesar, Alexander the Great, Clint Eastwood, Sylvester Stallone, Mel Gibson, Charlton Heston. I grew up back when the United States used to be a masculine country. It's being feminized to destroy it, but I grew up when it was masculine. And I'm telling you, this is what you would expect in painting. Christopher Columbus speaking to the king and queen of Spain, trying to get funding for his great journey. Okay? It was heroic. The idea was the noble Western man going to civilize the world and discover everything and figure out all the science. That was the mentality of it. It was a sense of heroism, of pride in one's ancestors. This is how we grow up. It's like the opposite now in the public school system. Okay? Now you go to public school and they castrate the children. Okay? It's insane. The way things are now is insane. Okay, now here is a painting, Westward, the Course of Empire. And this is also by Emanuel Lutz. And again, it's a sense of the heroic pioneers going out west. And it's like westward, ho, the course of empire takes its way, this sense of manifest destiny. We are the great people and we are going to civilize and colonize the West. That was just the way it was. And the heroic pioneers, the heroic cowboys, okay? That's how everything was seen. That's the attitude of America. When I was in grade school, we used to sing all these patriotic songs. My country, 'tis of thee, land of liberty of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. That's how it was. And that was good. It was much better then than it is now. Okay, so very nice painting. And now here's another one by Albert Bierstadt, Mount Corcoran. And he's got a lot of other great paintings, so it's beautiful. Got a little bear coming to the water's edge there. All right, well, I hope you found that interesting.